All right. Yes. We are right back after another birthday spent. Chapter 55, live in the council's corner. Another open court discussion. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the controversial counselor. Joining me as my co-host, the big bad wolf, Herb Lewis.
Ooh, for the Edmonton Oilers game 3.
Last week, the conversation was electric because we were only able to get through two of the focus areas: goals, progress, and two, habits and routines. But we need to get ready for part two tonight of the mid-year magic, reflect, refocus, and recharge. So tonight, June 9th, we will discuss the six other focus areas: self-care, relationships, personal growth, time management, financial progress, mindset, and attitude. Still so much to cover, and these 6 months will fly by like there's no tomorrow. Please like and share our video, and don't forget to tell someone who is about self-care to tell another self-conscious person about self-care to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Still at 951. No movement, but that doesn't mean that no work is being done. So here we are. So people, please like and share the video, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the YouTube channel. The thing I just looked today is like got 300,000 views on this channel. 300,000. So it's getting watched. It's getting watched. People are watching it. Maybe not when we're on, but definitely it's getting watched. People are going back watching some of the things, so which is a good thing. So here we are. Yesterday celebrated my 55th double nickels. Old. Well, you're only old as you feel, and I still feel pretty good on a day-to-day basis. So I don't really got no major complaints. Every now and then, uh, you know, at this age, you might have some aches and pains, back pains, and different things like that. But right now, I feel pretty good. So can't complain. Had a good weekend. Nothing major. Got a chance to hang out with some of the guys that y'all know that pop up on here, Dr. Anwar and Officer Charles. Met them at the
Oh, they came out
cigar
cool.
lounge. Yeah, so at the cigar lounge, they was smoking their cigars. I was having a couple drinks, and we was just chopping it up. So that was cool. So yesterday, just because it was kind of rainy most of the day, so I just kept it light. Just relaxed.
Yeah, it was raining here
So I
today too,
pushed
man.
that.
Mother Nature with her sporadic sunshine. I mean, I understand that it's not quite the summer, but something gotta give, man, because this rain is like it's enough already.
Yeah, countdown with school. We actually got 3 more full days and 2 half days left. It's a wrap. First year at Nottingham. Never. What a year! What a year! That's all I can say. What a year! I'm surprised it ain't take 10 years off of me, but you know, I guess I come to expect whatever happens in school. So I didn't been around and long enough to kind of see some of the stuff, but still leaves you walking away, shaking your head like, damn, it's wild. Wow.
The
What's
song
going on with
closing
you,
time.
Big
Every
Bad
new
Wolf?
begin. I was gonna say the song closing time. Every new beginning comes from some other beginnings in. Looking forward probably the next week to starting another part-time job. Uh, like I was saying, pre-broadcast, getting this home in shape, man. Getting me a permanent studio so I can start expanding on some things, doing some more written editions to where I can do some shorts and not necessarily shorts for TikTok. I haven't been on TikTok in what 2 years. I don't know if I necessarily miss it. It certainly is a place to keep a finger on the pulse of the rest of the at least that part of social media, because you see some wild things on TikTok, man. And sometimes I have to ask myself, are people feeling okay, or is there some transition that's going on that I don't know about? Because I tend to keep to myself when I'm not at work, and it's kind of funny because most of my social interactions come from when I'm at work. Other than that, I'm either biking, blading. Um, I might call a couple people, but that's it. I don't have a whole lot of social interactions outside of work, and I suppose mainly because I'm not really dating, and I don't know. I don't miss that. Um, I
Oh,
do
because you
plan on going to
you
see some.
retired from that, right?
Pretty much, man. As 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 funny as it seems, I'm just at that point in my life. Not that I'm old. I always say this to people. I don't consider myself to be old at 53, but I consider myself to be old enough to not have to really indulge in certain things. Now, just because I say I'm not dating, quote unquote, that doesn't mean I don't seek the interest of women. That just means I'm not pressed for it. I matter of fact, and I talked about this when we had Anita on the panel about not burning bridges and cutting people off. There's a female I've known, gosh, about 30 years. I said, yo, we need to go hang out. She said, why is this all of a sudden new? I said, it's not new. I said, we've known each other for that year. I said, I don't need to get in your pants. I said, I just want to go hang out somewhere. Because she lives across the border. You guys know how much I've talked about Canada, my love for Canada. So I just want to go hang out at something different. Different venue.
And it
it's,
still
it's
stands
just a
my
different
thoughts.
it's a different venue, man, a different pace of life. And then I get my favorite. I get French fries done in a way that they're not done in the US. So for those of you who have never had them and you live close enough to a Canadian, if you're in a city that's close enough to Canada, please do yourself a tremendous flavor. Yes, I'm gonna say flavor, not favor, and go over to somewhere in Canada and order yourself some poutine. You will not regret it. And if you do, cash at me a picture or send me a picture of the receipt, and I will cash app you what you paid. I guarantee that. That is the guarantee coming from the big bad wolf. If you live close enough to a Canadian city, travel over there and tell them at customs, you know what? The big bad wolf sent you. You're not gonna get a discount, but you'll get a refund if you don't like poutine. I'm telling you, that it's freaking awesome. And you never hear me say the word awesome. It's freaking awesome, baby.
So those are
It's good,
fries
bro.
that come in different. You can put different stuff on there. I think I had some of
Well,
that
what
at
they
Hershey Park. That shit is so fulfilling.
yeah.
So like it was too much.
And see,
Too
he didn't
much.
know I was gonna talk about it. So if he is talking about it and he's saying that, then what they do is they take cheese curds, gravy, and I think that's it. And I don't know what kind of gravy they use. I don't know what kind of cheese they use, but man, I remember the first time I had them, I was like, yo, this should be illegal. It's just that damn good. I mean, I'll put it to you like this. If I was going to serve something at a black barbecue now, we talking invite only, and I had to take away something, I take away the potato salad or the macaroni salad and put the poutine there. As long as it's fresh, we ready to roll. You don't need no ketchup. You don't need nothing. Eat as is, right out the fryer. That goddamn good. But I mean,
You should whip up some.
but that's honestly, you know what? I might do that. You know what? I might go get some Idaho potatoes. What is it? The russet cut, I think. I think the russets are the plain ones, or there's the yukon. They got, and I'm just now really starting to get into understanding the varieties of potatoes they have. Yeah, I'm sorry, people. Yeah. Imagine that. And realizing that some are for specific things, like you have your I think your Russes, don't correct me if I'm wrong, people, or correct me if I'm wrong, but have some mercy on me, that are for French fries. Do you have some that are salted that are for mashed potatoes and all kinds of things? So it was just like, okay, I just want some regular potatoes so I can make some potato salad. I just want some regular potatoes so I can make some mashed potatoes. But there's a reason why they have them. Is so when you go to make certain things, and I didn't know, once again, I'm going to be ridiculed. I didn't know that when you went to make potato salad, you had to cool them down after you boiled them so the potatoes would retain their shape and they wouldn't turn to mush. I didn't know that. I'm like, damn, I'm got everything, the eggs, the salad dressing or Miracle Whip or whatever you choose. I use I use celery in mine because I like a little crunch. Some people use celery and um what's his name? Relish, because they like that too. So it depends on what you mix. Like eggs. And I'm like, why is this getting softer? And it should be getting softer. It should be firming up. And now I understand why. So I'm learning. I want to take a bacon and all this other stuff. So, you know, because what I'm finding out, and this is the one of the way, and I know this actually we can fit this in too, I suppose. One of the way that our food supply kills us. You know, we most of us at some point in our lives will probably have some issue with hypertension or pre-hypertension or just the sodium intake. Because from what I read, that they're supposed to be lowering a healthy blood pressure from 110, from 120 to 110, over 80, over 70. I'm like, that's virtually that's virtually insane. You know how much? Because I think a regular uh, dietary intake of sodium should be no less than, or no more, pardon me, than three 3,000 milligrams. So right now I'm looking to cut that in half just so I can get off this medication. And I'm on whatever it is, I don't know, like a milligram, I think, nothing serious. But I'm looking at every label and I'm like, this has sodium, this has sodium. I'm like, since when the hell does water have sodium in it? That makes no sense. You like soda has sodium in it. I thought the object of soda was to be sweet. Why you got sodium in water? Iced tea. I'm like, so much of the stuff we eat is almost bad for us. And I'm just like, yo, something's got to change. Either the FDA has to rein this in, or we as a people have to start demanding that the FDA make our food supply healthier for us. Because if we go, matter of fact, I was just talking about Canada. If I go to Canada and buy what up, Ernie? If
Thanks,
I
E.
go to
Appreciate
Canada,
it, brother.
if I go to Canada and I buy a box of, uh, buy something as simple as a bottle of ketchup, there's only a handful of ingredients in there: water, maybe some vinegar, and the tomatoes themselves. You go buy a bottle of Heinz here, and it's got 15 ingredients. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But yeah, we need to start making a push to have our food supply be healthier because it's killing us. And then then they run us over to the medical pharmaceutical companies, and they want to keep us alive because they can bilk us some money for medicine that pretty much should be unnecessary, especially for people who are younger than us.
All in
So,
cahoots
but yeah,
together to make money. We're all in it
yeah,
to make money. So that kind of leads us to the our self care. Uh, reflect on self care practices, including physical, emotional, and mental well being. Like, what are some of your steps that you're using in 2025 to improve your self care? Like I said, mental, physical. Uh, so I'm going to ask you, what self care practices can you improve on or prioritize?
I think, and this is just not for me. I'm looking to go get a dietitian and then have some tests ran and see what my deficiencies are, because I've been getting very little sleep over the last 3 or 4 months, and I don't think it's anything medically related per se. A couple people have recommended a few things. One is a multivitamin, just in case I'm deficient in anything, and two is melatonin. I've always talked about seasonal deficit disorder, and I think that plagues darker skinned people more just because we're prone to it because we stop, boy, stop. Yes, 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 but you don't want to be on TV. So melatonin and a couple other things to see if that's going to help. Also, I know the additional weight is not helping. That I know. So I'm talking about that at length. Uh, like I said, Mother Nature, I need your cooperation so I can get my fat ass out there and start rollerblading. Another thing, for those of you who are struggling with weight loss, it's nothing to be shameful of. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Okay, let's get that out the way. The first thing you need to do though is acknowledge your bad conditioning. Do that. Save yourself a world of hurt and embarrassment. Number two is understand that you can get back to what you were before then, but you have to start somewhere. And we're not saying, I'm not saying, I'll say me, I'm not saying you have to become a physical specimen overnight. I'm not saying you have to do it over a few months. I'm saying you need to get as close to you can of being a good physical human specimen without killing yourself. And you can do that 10, 15 minutes a day. That's all it takes. And you don't have to do anything drastic. You don't necessarily have to go out and buy any expensive weight um, equipment, join the gym or any of that. You can get yourself um, a couple of your friends. And if your friends aren't willing, do it alone. Shadow boxing, walking outside, walking in place, jogging in place, and keep a record of what you do. I like analog clocks, digital, whatever it is, keep a time. So let's say, for instance, you go walking around a block. Make sure it's the same block. Let's say it takes you 3 minutes to walk around the block this time. That's your benchmark. All right.
At when I used to be working out.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Nothing spectacular. 3 minutes is your benchmark. So every time you walk around that block, that same block, you are doing it at least at that time or faster. Your object is to lower that time because that means you're working the body harder. When you are working your body harder, that means you're burning more calories. You're working the heart at an elevated pace. Even your age doesn't matter. I know the older it gets, there's certain parameters that your heart rate should be within for cardiovascular workout. So you don't always have to ride a bike. You don't always have to run. I mean, if you can find a swimming pool, that's probably the best exercise you're going to have going besides running. The reason why I don't recommend running is because of the impact on the joints. I will recommend jump roping because it works every major muscle group. So go find yourself a nice little jump rope, 15-second increments without stopping. Uh, that'll give you a minute. Do it for 3 minutes. Do 8 sets, I think that is. 2, 4, 6. Yeah, 8 sets. 8 sets, 15 seconds. Jump rope without stopping. Jump rope without stopping. Then go move to something else. You want to make sure you get you a solid 10 to 15 minutes a day. That way you're not overwhelming yourself. It's something you can accomplish and it's something you can look forward to. Do that at least 3 to 4 days a week. And the kitchen, yes, the kitchen is going to be where your greatest gains are made. I know it's difficult in this day and time. Portion control is number one. I have that problem, so I have to start doing food prep. With the second job, it should be a little easier because I'm going to be up and active. So I'm going to go back to my eating once a day. And I'm going to chronicle this stuff, and I might share it depending on how well I do or what's required in terms of food prep. But I'm going to get this 100 pounds off me. I ain't got a choice. I'm not walking around looking like, I told my friend this, I'm not walking around continually going to look like the Black Peter Griffin. That's is a no go. So, and I like the bike. I'm fortunate enough to have the falls in my backyard. Um, phone's broken, so I don't have the music. But you know what? The wind in my ears. It allows me to purge all the negative energy and the thoughts I have. I just can't do it for an hour anymore. I realize my behind starts to get a little too sore in the seat. So I put in about a half an hour. I don't climb hills as well as I used to. So flat lands, a half a degree grade in a uphill, yeah. And just find somewhere where you can do um a bike ride, so you don't tax yourself. Because a lot of people, before they give up physically, they give up mentally. They say, "Man, that's too hard. I can't do all that. I got a kid to look after." Take a kid with you. You'd be surprised how much your child getting out there smiling, laughing, and giggling will motivate you. We're not saying I got a toddler, I can't do it. You know what? Go look at secondhand stores where people sell these strollers that have the oversized wheels that allow you to go running with your child. Make it a habit. You got a 2-year-old that isn't quite ready for preschool. You got an hour and a half. You cleaned, you cooked, you got everything done that you need to. Go running around in your neighborhood for a half an hour, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Strap the child up. Get out there in the fresh air. It'll do you some good. Get out there in the sunshine. It'll do you some good. No matter what your level of health is, physical fitness should always be primary. So that's what I'm looking at doing. So I mean, for me, it's all cathartic. I get on there. I get on here. Sometimes I'm tired, but I get that shot of adrenaline. And I'm just like, you know what? I got 2 hours in me to give up. I ain't doing nothing tonight. I might have some pizza and wings. But I'm gonna be okay. You know why? Because the world don't give me no other choice. So, that's what I got. That's what I got to do. And people, write about it. I talked about chronicling. I talked about writing things. Write about it every day that you achieve some monochrome of success. Write about it. I lost half a pound a day. A half a pound over a month gives you a 10-pound weight loss. Something that small can lead to successes that big. So even if and I always, some people say don't, some nutritionists say don't. It defeats the purpose. It can deter you. I weigh myself every day I get out the shower. Because used to say, just ask women, what do you look like barefaced out the shower? Rate yourself. I'm telling you, do that. You know why? Because when you step on that scale and you see that you lost a pound, maybe a pound and a half or a pound, you can say, it's working. And you know what that does? That gives you a shot of adrenaline. It reinforces everything that you've done. You say, you know what? Next time I get out here and walk around the block and run around the block, I'm gonna shave 5 seconds off that record. Next thing you know, as opposed to taking you 4 minutes to run around the block, you run around the block in 3 minutes, 15 seconds. You come back 2 weeks later, you're down to 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 50 seconds. That's how, believe it or not, that's how professional track and field people do it. I remember when I started running hurdles in high school, the very first meet I had, I cleared in 19 seconds. I kid you not. I was slow, terribly, pathetically slow. At the end of that year, I had gotten so good that I was running 16 flats. My age was the reason why I didn't run my senior year. Had I ran my senior year, at least in my mind, there's no doubt that I would have been running at least low 14s. I'd have probably ran the states that year. I was improving at that rate. So that's how track and field athletes do it. They measure time. You see people like Usain Bolt setting these times. They only set times at meets. They never set times at practice because they don't run timed events at practice. They said they do their best work at the meets. That's why you tend to see world records fall. Not only that, you line up against the best in the world. And David will tell you when you compete against the best, you elevate. I don't care what it is. You elevate. You, people idolize Michael Jordan. When did Michael Jordan play his best games? When everything was on the line, when the best competition was lined up against him. NBA Finals, tons of postseason scoring records. That's why.
Yeah, lights is bright, definitely. So when I look at self care, I know one of my biggest things is sleep. I'm just like, I just be up, and but I'm the type that if I lay down, I'm gonna fall asleep real fast. But years ago, I went to a specialist, and he said that I'm sleep deprived in myself, and you know, he, they talk about also that when you uh, when you get a when you get a good sleep, that has a lot to do with weight loss too.
Yeah.
Sleeping the proper hours and stuff. But that's probably one of my worst things. Is a lot of times I function off of 2, 3 hours of sleep, 4 hours, and I just keep it moving. But I know it's not the most healthiest thing. As far as food intake, I could be a lot better, but I'm not one. Every now and then, I think one of my biggest things was like chips and stuff. Whatever, I could eat some chips. Uh, Cookies and sweets and stuff like that, here and there, but it's not nothing major. And then I know like ice cream and stuff. I already know what that does to me. So unless I take some lactate pills, whatever. So I really don't try to partake in that too much. But Herb is right. One of the things I used to do is I still do a lot of walking. I haven't done that, but I would just put on earphones and just walk. Probably, I think it would be like 2.5 miles,
Mhm.
and just walk, sweat, and just be in my own world. It's therapeutic too. Get a lot of thoughts out. Like, we got to do the next day, some of the things that's coming up, and you just in your own world. Sometimes people like to have, a walking partner, stuff for accountability. One of the things I also used to do to hold me accountable is that I would talk about it on social media and have like weigh-ins and let people know my progress. So, and it would inspire people because you would start seeing the drastic change.
Yeah.
I always say that I got my perfect way for me. Well, my brother says differently. BMI, your size, you should be like 170, 180. I said I would, 170 or 180. Uh, I want to have a little girth on me. I want to have a little frame, whatever. You never know out in these wilderness, like who you might
Yeah.
have to put in a damn headlock or something. Uh, but I say I would like to be down like 225. So I feel like 25 pounds away from that. But I really haven't didn't need pushing. I think if I tighten up this summer and make a good run, I can probably at least get close to that. It gets harder as you get older to
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
shed some of the pounds, so it may not be like a quick turnaround. But I always remember like during the COVID, and I shared this many a times. I had got up to like, I think I got on the scale. I was like 3. I was like, what the hell, man? I was like,
Yeah.
back was hurting, short of breath. And I remember going to like I know they got the big mall in Minnesota, but they got a real big one like in New Jersey. And I
Yeah.
went to that, and man, my back was killing me. And I kept looking twice over at like one of the little scooters there. And my son said, if you get in that, don't say nothing to me. Don't even say nothing to me. It's like I'm walking away, and I was like, damn, like why? He was like, yo, you too young, you too young for that, whatever. So that's embarrassing, whatever. But I was leaning toward it. But when that was said, I thought about it. I was Yeah, yeah, you're right. And then after that, I think when I got home, I just went on the journey, and I ended up losing like shit, damn near 50, 55 pounds. And right now, I'm just kind of maintaining some of that weight I lost. It goes up, it goes down, but I can understand this point, like, because at the time, I was like 49 or about to turn 50, maybe. You're just too young for that, whatever, to be in there. Don't expect me to be pushing you or whatever the case is. And mind you, I think he might have been like 14. So they're like, don't do it. But then sometimes when I, go out to Walmart and you see these people that even especially when I go back home and I
Yeah,
know a
yeah,
lot of people, I'll be like,
yep,
and you might see them coming to like, damn, like
yep.
everybody our age at home got walkers and these damn scooters and all that shit. I was like, yeah, yeah, I'm all right. I'm doing all right, whatever, because and I know some of them, I don't know their effects or what led them to it, but I just say I ain't ready to go out like that. Uh,
Well, I
Not
can
at
I
all.
can tell you what some of at least some, not all. When you look at the fact that a lot of our people, and I'm speaking black people, they like to engage in one specific activity more so than others. Not necessarily illegal, but it can be destructive to the body. They like to drink that beer. And that malt liquor is not good. They like to drink that beer, they hang out, and some of them smoking weed, and some of them have been smoking weed for years. And I'm not saying they, every day they wake up, they bake, but they're partaking in some of it in some way, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but they're always drinking beer. And people will say, well, what's wrong with a beer or 2 or 3 after work? Nothing if you do it once or twice a week. But if you coming home every day and you having the equivalent of what can be termed a 6 pack a day in a year, you're gonna put on 10 pounds just by drinking beer. You keep doing that over a decade, you're gonna add about 100 pounds to your body. And most of these people are not working out the way they did when we were younger. When we were younger, our age demographic, we were always playing basketball somewhere, whether it was outside at one of the respective centers. We don't do that anymore. You don't see the younger kids doing that. That's why when I see somebody riding a bike, I'm like, oh, wow, I thought I was the only one that rode a bike. Now, yes, I do ride a bike for transportation, but I ride my bike for exercise as much as I do, probably more than I do for transportation because I live within a 10-minute bike ride of work and have for almost a decade. As a matter of fact, with the exception of me working security at the mall, which was a 20-minute bike ride away, I've always worked within bike riding distance of where I worked at. So that's why I'm always an advocate of owning a bike because if you own it, the odds of you using it increase. Just like you have in a car. If you own a car, you're going to drive it. It's not good or bad. It's just what it is. If we have something, we tend to use it. If we have money, we spend it. Doesn't matter on what we spend it on, we spend it. If you don't have it, you can't spend it. Same thing. And let me add this in there for people who might be a little heavier, who are having joint problems. Find a place where you can get a gym membership, a swimming pool, and do dolphin kicks. Do dolphin kicks for a minute at a time. You want to make sure you get your 10 minutes in there 3 or 4 times a day. I'm sorry, a day, 3 or 4 times a week. That way
Or
there's
you know
yeah.
damn well most black people scatter damn water like that. They like to stick their
Hey,
feet in that shit, and that's about it.
if that you know what, even better. If you want to sit at the pool and just stick your feet in water and kick, do that for 5 minutes straight. You ain't got to get in there, sit at the edge of the pool, and just do dolphin kicks for 5 minutes. I'm not giving anybody an excuse. I'm sorry. The only way
But
you get an excuse is if you're a
but you're correct
paraplegic.
though. Swimming is
Of
a
course.
great exercise. Great for all of that stuff, cardio and all that strength and all that stuff. Swimming,
Yeah.
it is. It's the real deal.
People. I want to say everybody that is watching live, that'll watch post live. I want you to see another 20 years. And in those 20 years, I want 17, 18 of them to be good. Because this is something we'll probably talk about um, in a later episode. And hopefully we get the disgruntled one to come back on and pitch his program. That way he won't feel so slighted, Mr. Willie. Come back on and talk about aging in place because we're not getting younger. And most of us, we're not married. We're not in a long term relationship with somebody who's dedicated enough to want to step in and take care of us. If you like me, you don't have siblings um, who are going to move in with you and take care of you. Matter of fact, while we're talking about it, let me mention this. Currently, I don't know what is going to be some years from now. There are government programs who will pay you to take care of an elderly relative. So listen up for people who are doing the gig work. If you got an elderly or an older sibling, mother, father, aunt, uncle who can subsist at home, but they need some help, sign up and enroll them in it. It's a great way for you to bond with that person, extend that person's life, make sure that the quality of life is good, and you get paid for it. You lose nothing, and this additional income. Just putting it out there. But yeah, we got people because let's face it, as Gen Xers, we're starting to get to the point now where retirement is going to be at our doorsteps in about a decade. We're not going to be able to work like we used to. So something has to be done. And if your health is problematic, you can just about forget doing anything else. You want to travel? Now, fellas, you say you want to run around with these young chippies? These young chippies ain't gonna want nothing to do with you if you can't if you can't bang around like Shaq in the paint. Sorry, they don't
If
want you. And the females
you
are telling you that. And that's why the females are telling you that. They're saying, look, because we're running into these brothers now who 45, they need Viagra. Now, I don't know why that is. Ain't my business. I'm just simply saying if they saying it, there has to be some validity to it, even if they trying to be derisive.
if you got something that's like an obvious defect in you, an aging man, and you not right, you can stick a fork in it. You can stick a fork in it as far as the dating game. Uh, well, a young one, if they just gonna try to milk you in, or whatever the case is, and if they, there will be some people say, shit, he gonna be dead in a few years anyway, so I'm gonna marry him and get this or get that. But all jokes aside, without even thinking about the financial aspect of it, uh, your chances is time to start thinking about life without anyone. Uh, or you may have someone, but I guess your standards will change.
The only
And
thing I
we
have.
talked about that too. A lot of people like, oh no, I don't do this. Trust me, as you get older and things start, it's not going your way. Your standards, you're gonna have to remove some shit off your list.
Yep.
Some things, something will have to give, especially if you want to um, have some companionship. Now, I've seen people who, you know, was top of the line, but then as they got older, you're like, oh, interesting. Oh, that's who she ended up with. Like, damn. Uh, when such and such used to try to holler at it, they ain't getting no play. But this is how we panned it out. This is who she ended up marrying, and It could be, for several reasons. And I know people always say, well, looks and all of that stuff fade away, and it's a matter of the heart and all that stuff. They don't have to fade away that bad. You can still age and get older, but you can still look how you look, but you're just getting older, and you still have smooth skin, not bags under the eyes, not wrinkled skin, all of that stuff. Hey, I'm 55. I mean, I shaved whatever and just had a mustache. That'll take some years off, but I'm not interested in doing that. So it is what it is. But you can't tell me like, oh, your ass looks 65, you look 70, whatever. Then you just talking. You just
Right.
talking. And so you still can look decent as you age. Uh, and sometimes people age badly or like roughly, but overall, I think a lot of it has to do with stress.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Stress. So stress kills, and stress can change the way you look. Of course, stress can change your body type, and all that stuff. But it also you can look worried in the face all the time, and like that could add probably wrinkles and just look worried. If somebody's worried all the time and look worried,
You
sooner or
see it.
later you're gonna start looking at it. You're gonna start seeing it in their face, whatever. So self care is everything, and sometimes self care is just shit, reading a book, going somewhere, taking some time, and just reading a book off to yourself. It could be okay. I'm going out to a park, just or go to a park, sit in your car, and just get away, read or write or something. So it's not always physical activity. It could be it's mental too. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you have to be able to get away, have time for yourself, do things that you enjoy doing, and that relieves stress. As Herb say about football, I always say, it's Saturday night boxing match. Boy, the adrenaline be going all day long, be pumped up and just excited. I was
Yeah,
gonna say
man.
something. I was gonna say something inappropriate, but I wouldn't be the controversial concept. I would. It ain't nothing better. Be happy like a faggot in jail. Probably should have said that. But
Oh my gosh. Whew. Honestly, and the funny thing, the reason why when I was a kid, and I'm talking when I was a kid, 7, 8, 9, 10, there was one thing that always, no matter where I was, who I was around, if it broke out, I wanted to be a part of it. And that was a football game. Didn't matter how old I was, didn't matter who the participants was. As a matter of fact, um, oh geez, my man, I can't remember his name right now. Niagara Falls used to have a semi-pro team over across town in Hyde Park, and I would just be over there biking one day, and I happened to, go over there and check out the practices, and I would be over there critiquing the fellas, and the people that didn't know me, didn't know I played, was always talking about, oh yeah, you this, you that, you that. I bet if we put some helmet and pads on you, you would shut up. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm about to come out of character right now, nigga. You don't know who the fuck I am. And I can't remember who was coaching. I said, you got any pads in the helmet in the back of the trunk? He said, you serious? I'm dead serious. Because this motherfucker want to talk shit. He don't know who I am. Oh yeah, well, no, we got it. Nope. Click, click. Pads. What about pants? He ain't getting that low. Line up in the backfield. We wanted to toss 22. Bet. I'm fullback. We already know where the play going. Hole open up, motherfucker feeling like hole. Bow. Oh, 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 yeah. I'm that nigga. I don't talk a lot. I bees a lot. We can run it up and we can line up and run it again. Wherever you want to go, I'm there. I'm leading. I'm coming right through the hole. Call me Moose Johnson. Moose. See, sometimes you got to show people you from Missouri, and that's what I had to do ever since then. Them cats that play semi-pro, they said, "No, he legit. He play." The people that play high school football with knew, but just sometimes you got to show and prove, and I'm not above that. Just just wanted to put that out there. Got a little youth in my but no, man. I mean, for me, it brings me back to when I was a kid. It brings me back to when I was living in Griffin Manor, man, racing people on bikes, and just things were so much simpler then, and it's always been no stress, none whatsoever, none. I Now that I don't have football at home because I don't have a TV, I go to the casino and just sit back and watch. Most of the people there are watching on the big screen, football fans. There's never any strife. Think about when you go to a sporting event and you're at your home team, everybody having a good time. Even in this nation's worst hours, what have we always rallied around? Sports. World War One, sports. World War Two, sports. Vietnam, Korea, football games, baseball games. Even 9/11, when baseball stopped, they got back to it. Sports is supposed to be a unifying, um, galvanizing thing for people. Sports didn't I actually don't even say that. Sports is stressful for anybody that A isn't playing and they're not doing well and they're getting paid, and those who are covering it because they got a story and a deadline to meet. Otherwise, sports is supposed to be fun. Now, I will say this, having been around the AAA unit and circuit, some parents take the fun out of sports because they make it ultra competitive. Well, my son isn't doing this, my son isn't doing that. Hey, look, when you see little kids playing one on one and they having fun, when you see some of the Caucasian kids playing street hockey, they're having fun. We used to play hide and seek, having fun, freeze tag, having fun, dodgeball, having fun, trying to take each other out, having fun.
Hold up. Hold up. I think it was another word for hide and seek that we had fun.
Oh,
And that
when you
was
got of
I
age.
I ain't gonna get it.
Yeah, when
we
you
ain't
got to
get
play, but it was
we
fun.
ain't get nothing. We ain't get nothing, but it was that was the name of it. That was the name of it. But
Honestly,
it was all
yeah,
good times, whatever.
yeah.
They
I
don't
mean, that's
they don't
it.
have that nowadays, and
No,
it's kind of sad. And us as adults, maybe probably the bigger reason as well too, because we don't communicate uh, with the neighbors. Everybody just go about their business.
yeah,
Where
yeah.
we grew up, everybody older was on the porch. Sometimes you didn't want them to be on the porch, but they always had an eye on what was going on.
Right.
So it was easy for us to be out in the summertime when it's blazing hot. You rather for the kids to run around, run themselves raggedy. So when they come in,
We go
take
back
a
to sleep.
bath, go to sleep,
Mhm,
get something to eat and go to sleep instead of complaining how hot it is.
mhm.
Because there was no centralized air and all that shit. It was just fans going all over. So, and people would, trying to hog fans, complaining. So we played. We would be outside till like 11, 12, 1, but it was always adults on the porch, all
Slip and
over. And they would
slide.
always tell us, you can't go, don't go too far, don't go past here. Yeah, I can't go past there because we would
Right.
stretch the limits at hide and seek. We lived on North Avenue, we'd be on freaking Ontario. Sometimes people be walking across Highland Bridge trying to pretend like they somebody else to get away. We would stretch the limits, but we had a good time.
Yeah,
We had a
man.
great time.
I mean, and
Self care.
yeah. I was like I said, I was talking to a few heads, and at least in Niagara Falls. I don't know about any other. Actually, in Buffalo too. Buffalo used to have the black experience, drill teams, double Dutch teams, and even small basketball tournaments. Um, Even though there's a lack of indoor facilities where these kids can play indoors, especially when the weather is inclement. Think I know a lot of kids who will never ever be good enough to play for the high school teams, play AAU ball. They still need sports. They still need to play with other kids their age, their abilities, maybe above or below, because it allows them to get to know these other kids. It allows them to build friendships. So when these kids are feeling alone, they're not necessarily isolated. And to me, that's the biggest thing when you look at teen suicide rates. We talk about self care. I know we're talking about adults, but a lot of this stuff, and David always says this, that middle school madness mimics some of the problems that adults have, and they don't know how to solve them. That's because they've never been given the tools. They've never been told. The adults don't think, oh, well, it's just puppy love. How do you know that? Do you sit down and you talk to this kid about what this person really meant to him? Because we don't know how much an individual spends thinking about another person on a daily basis. We don't know that among adults. So how in the heck can we think to know that among kids? Unless you sit down and you talk to this kid, you say, oh, well, okay, you spend a lot of time thinking about this individual, even though you don't see him. We don't know because we don't endeavor to think that far or that much about kids. And I'm here to tell you, I I've long since now coming to the understanding that I don't know a lot about these younger kids. And like David said, suspend judgment, not for their sake, but for your sake, because a lot of adults, I'm speaking to you adult figures out there, y'all have a problem with saying you're sorry to kids because you think saying sorry to a kid that you were wrong makes you a smaller person. No, it teaches them something. It teaches them that if they're right about something and you're wrong about something, that you're going to acknowledge that you were wrong. And you know what they will say? When somebody comes to attack you just like they do David, the students, they're gonna say, no, you know what? You got Miss Such and Such and Mr. Such and Such all wrong. No, I ain't. They was wrong and then apologize. They're gonna say, well, what did you do? This, and this. Did you admit what happened? No, because they never say. They're gonna say, see, I went up to him and I told him everything. He said, you know what? I was wrong. But this is what you should have done. This is what you should have did. This is what should have happened. And next time that happens, come clean. Because as long as you being truthful to somebody, if that person is a good person, they're gonna be truthful to you. Because we all have an innate desire to tell the truth. Lying takes effort. I don't care who you are. It takes effort to lie. It takes no effort to tell the truth. What you doing now, man? I'm just chilling. Now, if I'm lying, I'm trying to hide the fact that I'm waiting for a chick to come by. Yo, man, I got this stuff to do. I'm gonna be leaving in a few minutes. Oh, all right then. Come to find out, damn, dude, you don't have to lie to me. I'm your boy. All you have to do is tell me you wait for a chick to come through. I'm gonna respect the game of bounds. I ain't here to cramp. I ain't here to cramp your style. But see, we've got to a habit of doing this nonsense that we do to everybody. We do it impulsively. Why? Because that's what we've been led to believe. Being honest, I tell you, I don't care who you are. I don't care what your profession is, who your families are. You make it a habit of being truthful. You make it a habit of being honest. You're gonna find yourself in more advantageous and good situations and around those who are like-minded than you will anything else. And you may not know these people, but I guarantee you somebody's gonna say, you know what, I got a job opening. It pays this, this, and this, but I can't find an honest, decent, hardworking person. Somebody's gonna say, you know what? I got just the person you need. And they're gonna say, what kind of experience they have? I don't know, but you said you're looking for an honest, hardworking individual. I know this cat I ran into about 3 months ago. Every time I've had a question or situation, he's been honest with me. If you need somebody, here's his or her number. Give him a call. Tell him I called you. We don't realize that this is one of the ways that your reputation extends beyond you. That's why Kevin Samuels used to say, your network is your net worth. You got people out here who might be running interference, plugging holes for you, giving out information, and you don't know about it. They're gonna say, "Oh, you're the person that such and such was talking about. Your name came up at a meeting and I didn't know who you were. You know what? Now that I know who you were, come in for an interview at 2 o'clock Thursday. I would like the rest of my board to meet you." This is why it's always important to be honest and to be forthright. Stop trying to run game on everybody. Everybody ain't here for the games. Some people are just out to exist. They out to meet like-minded people. They out to have fun. They enjoy stuff. They don't want to be on guard all the time thinking that somebody's trying to trick them. Who wants to live like that? And that's when we talk about the stress. If you go, this is why, and ladies, listen up, equite. This is why a lot of men hang out at bars after work and they drink. They're not drinking to excess. I know I mentioned drinking earlier. They're having a drink or two around their fellow men. You know why? Because nobody's in there lying. Nobody's in there trying to jockey for a position. Nobody's in there trying to hit on somebody else's wife. It's just a nice, cool atmosphere. Think of the show Cheers. Everybody was having fun at Cheers. Even though some people were more the butts of jokes than others, everybody was having fun. That's what life should be about, generally, having fun. And enjoying everything you can, enjoying everybody around you while you can. Don't make it any harder than what it is.
That, that's when we could work about relationships. So before I go that, I want to go back to without telling too many details. Uh, like I said, a lot of people when they look at my job as a school counselor, we don't call it guidance counselor. So that actually annoys us. Whatever people say, "Oh, you're a guidance counselor," because when you think of that, you think of somebody just schedule. Well, certainly that ain't all we do. It is not the same anymore. Well, maybe it was guidance counselors when I was in school because I only talked to the dude when we had to do our schedule for the next year. Uh, I don't recall his office being that, nor that I would have never probably would have went and seen him. But in and out and stuff, traffic that we get, and all the different issues that we come across on a daily basis. So, for example, Friday, I don't say any names, I just will give less, try to get less details. Uh, it's Friday. Normally, after each day, I'm usually the last one in our department. Because again, I always tell them I'm not, I'm not the starter. I'm the fucking closer. I'm not gonna be the first one at work, but I damn sure will probably be the last one out of us. So y'all go ahead and start the day off, and then you know I'll close it down. So, but they normally lock the door, put our blinds down. So after three something, office is shut. So Friday, I get a knock, and and I'm thinking it's apparent because what happens is when you're in the eighth grade, they have to prove their residency before they go to high school to make sure they live in where they're supposed to live and make sure their stuff is legit and they're not living nowhere else but trying to go to a certain school. So I know a lot of parents are coming in during this time. It's the end of the school year. So I hear a knock at the door. I didn't get it the first time. I said, I'm not dealing. I don't know who's sitting a parent back here and it's after three something. School is over. Then about 5, 10 minutes later, I hear the knocking. They'll keep knocking. And then I go to the door, open it, and it's one of my Remember, I think I was talking last week. I said she wanted my female soldier. So it was her. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, I tried to tell you earlier that I got put out the house. And I don't have nowhere to go. Me and you, I know where to go. You can't be put out the house. And I try to joke, make light of the situation. I always say they're 11. Just that's just the age I throw out there. I said, you're only 11. Clever. I'm not 11. I'm 13. Then I said, well, no matter 11 or 13, no parent can put you out the house. Can't put you out at that age. Uh, so legitimately, she in my office after I was calling around, talking to people, and she like, well, do could y'all give me an Uber? And a lot of their jobs are like, I don't have no money on my car. So I'm sitting like, wow, like now they trying to race through hoops. Like if I wouldn't answer the door, where was she gonna go?
Yep.
What was she gonna do? And she's like, well, you can't give me a ride, huh? You can't ride. I can't ride you in my car. Well,
Yeah.
why? I said, for one, what if we get into an accident and something happens? I'm gonna get sued. And she was like, sue, my family not gonna sue you. Or just period. It's against. I can't ride you in my car. And I said, and then another thing, a male, and you're a female. What if you decide to say, Mr. Glover touched me? I don't got no grammar. And she kind of looked at me. Why would I say that? Why would I say you touched me? I said, trust me, believe me, people do it. And then I said, and the first thing they're gonna say is, why was she in the car with you in the first place? Why was you transported? So I can't do it. But I've seen the worry in her face. Remember I said about the worry, the stress, or whatever. As a kid, I seen the worry in her face. Like, if he decides to pack up his bags and leave, what am I gonna do?
Hmm.
And but of course, I wasn't gonna leave her like that. So I stayed around, and me and her got that type of relationship and joking around. I'm like, ah, man, what if I had a hot date right now? It's my birthday weekend, and here you come knocking at my door. And then she like, well, like, I don't know, I didn't have nowhere else to go. And she like, you like my uncle? And I was like, so needless to say, she finally called around, and somebody, her grandmother said she'll send some money to another family member. And she ended up catching an Uber. I wasn't totally safe with that, but she catches Ubers to school sometimes.
Oh wow.
Um, um, so uh, probably wasn't the best way to handle it, but I knew that's that's some of the ways she gets home sometimes. So she's kind of familiar with it, able to look on her computer, iPad, and track.
Okay.
Okay, here go the Uber. It's coming. I said it's coming in 3 minutes. So she's familiar with doing that, and it's just the fact that to be so young and you can't do that to these kids. You can't do it. Can't do it. I mean, because again, if I wouldn't have been there, if I would have snuck out a back door or something, then that means she would have been just around. Then probably would have started walking somewhere
Yeah.
eventually, and then that's how you end up missing.
Yep.
Uh, so as as parents, as bad as you get, or whatever the case is, if you need a cooling off period, then you might. The best suggestion may be to call your sibling or your mom or your dad. Say, look, she might need to come over here this weekend or stay a couple days because this ain't working. I'm gonna end up, as they used to say back in our days, parents were like, I'm gonna end up killing. Not literally, like really meaning that,
Yeah.
uh, but to say get out and they feel like they don't have nowhere to go, not cool. Not cool. And I know I'm probably going to have to deal with this issue in these next 4 days, but I just glad my instinct said go see who who's at this door, instead of her roaming around and trying to figure out her next move. Because at 13, you shouldn't have to worry about that. About what you're gonna do next, what's gonna go on, and then make it so bad. She left her when she got put out. She left her cell phone, so all she had was her iPad, and her iPad had one dead. And then I had to give her a charger so she could charge that up a little bit. So these are some of the things that's happening, and they're probably happening more frequent than we think they are. And I think that's why sometimes you have younger men, boys, younger girls, they end up being put into vulnerable situations where they end up getting scooped up by somebody older or whatever the case is because they look at that as security.
Yeah.
Because, say if she's in high school and she's 15, 16,
Yeah.
and you got somebody, a guy that's 20, 21, and he got his own apartment or whatever, and he just happened to be riding by and be like, little shorty got a nice little flame, whatever, like, pull up, where you going? No, actually, I don't got nowhere to go. I got put out, whatever, like, uh, so I'm just trying to figure it out. Get in with me, and they start talking. They take her to get something to eat, or they hang out, and he like, "Oh, I ain't gonna touch you, man. You can come here. I got an extra room and all that stuff." Shit, the next thing you know, that little shorty probably gonna end up moving in or being there quite frequently, and then you wonder why stuff like that happens. You can't give nobody an opportunity to get a chance to get at your babies.
Mm.
Uh, can't give them that opportunity because there's people out there. And even when I'm saying this scenario with the 21-year-old, he can be a good guy. I mean, that don't mean he's gonna do anything totally out of pocket, but it's just the fact that she probably wouldn't have been in that situation if that didn't happen, if she didn't have nowhere to go. So that was just wanted to bring that up. Next thing, relationships. Assess the quality of relationships with family, friends, colleagues, identifying areas for improvement. Relationships are everything, everything. Uh, whether it's intimate relationships, relationships at work, uh, relationships with your siblings. If you don't have good relationships in again, I don't know, you probably don't have much at all. It's important to have solid relationships. So one of the questions I propose any of is how can you nurture and strengthen relationships? Because not all our relationships are good with everybody. Sometimes they're strained. Uh, sometimes you probably, and I'm guilty of that, I'm stubborn as hell. Sometimes I know that I probably should reach out more or do this or do that, but sometimes I say to myself, I keep to myself because I don't want the headaches. I don't want it every time I talk to somebody. I don't want to hear everything that's going wrong or everything that's going wrong with this family member or this because a lot of that is out of my control and
Yep.
there's nothing I can do about it. And I don't want that sitting on the top of my head or in my heart all the time. So I try to build my little bubble, and that's one of my coping mechanisms to try to stay in my little bubble at times.
I don't blame you because I do the same thing too. I always tell people I said I have very little stress because when I leave um work or some other place, I come home, put my key in the knob, I turn it, and I shut the outside world out. Within these walls of this confine of this building on this block in the city of Niagara Falls, New York, I have very few problems. Conversely, I will from time to time do this one thing that allows me to be continually ingratiated in other people's lives. It's one simple thing, and I'll pass this on to you that I do for people. and I ask, what can I do for you? How can I make things easier for you? So people say, well, why should I have to ask? You know what? You shouldn't have to. But being a good human, at least from my standpoint, requires that you sacrifice a little something for another person who may not have it to give. And don't always look to get paid for helping somebody. To me, that's a low vibrational human. If you're asking somebody what do they need and they tell you that, just say, you know what? I got it. I got you. Well, I don't have the money. Don't worry about it. I didn't come over here asking you what you needed to borrow. I didn't come over here and ask you how much money you needed. I came over here and asked, what do you need? Sometimes we don't do it enough. Sometimes we walk around with a handout and people say, no, thank you. No, thank you. Want to be bothered. They say every time that individual comes around, they always asking for something. Now, flip that and imagine them saying every time that individual comes around, they're asking, what can they do? You know what? They never ask for anything. They only offer, and eventually, excuse me, that comes back. All the good things that you used to do, and I know sometimes it don't seem like it, but all those good things that you used to do to people, it eventually finds its way back to your doorstep. It might not be then. It might not be that week, that month, or that year.
Yeah. One of the good things about relationships, it does, and it just reminds me. I always think about this particular story. I might have shared it before. One of my old counselors, she, well, the supervisor counseling was in her office, and I guess the old counselor had a picture of me on her wall. So the council supervisor sent it to me. But me and her were, we were cool, really close. So I said, well, where do you get this picture from? She said, I'm in some another counselor's office and they have your picture on the wall. And I said, you got that a picture on the wall? And she was like, yes. So, because she was out there doing the site visit. So then she told me, then I texted the person. I said, why is my picture on your wall? She was like, well, it's simple as this, G Lover. She was like, when you, before you came to the school, I always saw the glass half empty. But once you came, I started seeing it half full. Uh, she was like, so once you left, she said, once you left, I always said to myself, everybody, I need to have a little G Lover in my life every day. So I
Mhm.
put your picture on my wall because she said she was someone who always looked at the negative aspect. So, and you never know the impact of the relationships that you have with people, and you always want to make a good impression. Now, don't get me wrong, I could be a jerk of all jerks, and I think sometimes my jerkish ways are more intentional. Like sometimes people could be a jerk, but they can't help it. But
Yeah.
mine is more intentional, like it's calculated. I know what I'm doing, and it may just be to make you think a certain way. So even with today, like relationship building, my birthday was yesterday, so sometimes, a lot of times, with coworkers, if your birthday falls on the weekend, that's just that. Carry on, but today when I came in my office, they had the streamers across the happy birthday, had a couple items on my desk, and then a card, and I'm just reading a happy birthday to an amazing school counselor and an even better friend. We hope this trip around the sun is the best yet. Cheers to you, David. I'm your favorite school counseling team. So all that stuff is well received and respected. Because if a person don't like you, you ain't getting shit. Don't matter if
Nada.
it's your birthday or not. So you have to be doing something right, or you have to be impacting their lives in a certain way, and it's important. That's why I always say, as you get older, a lot of times I used to events sometimes I wouldn't go to, but I try to make as many as I can as we get older. And I already know that with family, there's always going to be some squabbles. I just try to make sure I'm not the one in it. I try to make sure I'm the one trying to facilitate or mediate, and but still get my laugh on because it's family. Like I'm not even paying because let them tell it. Now they think everybody's afraid of my sister. They're like, my niece and they're like, oh, she be roasting you, uncle. You be real quiet. I just let her talk. I just let her talk. And then Carlos was like, I don't know if he should be roasting her. Maybe David just be think she's funny and just let her talk.
Yeah.
Carlos, you are right. I just let her talk. She's hilarious. I just let her get her stuff off, even if it's at the expense of me.
Yeah.
Uh, Prime example, I think I had the air conditioner. No, it wasn't that when we was down in South Carolina. It
That's
wasn't
hot. Okay, what you say?
hot
That's hot.
weather, but it was kind of rainy and all that stuff. But I still had the air on. And my sister was like, why you got the air on? Fat motherfucker pork coming out your freaking vein. Just going in on me. Just going in. I ain't say nothing. I just was laughing and chuckling. And she was like, just fat, whatever. All types of pork coming out your thing, just sweating. I just let her have it. Because at the end of the day, she is funny, and I don't take it personal
Yeah.
at all. It's just good
South Carolina's
laughter,
hot. I
and, and you
man,
and you got to be able
shit.
to handle it. You got to be able to handle some of the when some family members unleash on you, because sometimes you like, I'd rather it be me than somebody else, because somebody else may not be able to take it. But I just was laughing. My niece like, see, he don't say nothing. My mother be roasting him. Like, not really. She know I could come back and I'm real quick with it and can fire right back. But I just let her have it because she's hilarious. But the moments like that builds a solid foundation, makes you want more, makes you appreciate those times because they're getting shorter and shorter. We're not seeing each other as often as we used to. Some people have moved away.
Yeah.
And time don't permit you to be able to just jump on a plane or jump on the road and all that stuff. So you have to value those opportunities. And again, even like with work relationships, every year in the school, you might work with somebody for years, and then they decide that they're relocating or leaving. That leaves an impact on you because those are people that you work with that have value to your life, and then they're
Yeah.
leaving. You're like, damn, things ain't gonna be the same without them. But in this day and age, we're still lucky to communicate. We have the tools, video, chatting, and different things like that. That if people like me that much, and y'all remain in contact. If you're ever in that city, and you say, "Hey, I'm here," for a couple of days, I would like to see you, or we should be able to get together. Most people, unless they really felt opposite of what you thought y'all had a good relationship, and they say, "Oh God, he's in town, and she's in town, they're asking to see me. What can I make up?" But the ones that really feel a certain way, they'll like, "Okay, you're here. Okay, we're gonna wiggle our schedule around and make sure." Or they'll just say, "Just come to the house. Just come over. This is our address. Just come over. We'll cook. We'll have some drinks and all that stuff. Stop by." And so it's about making good impressions and having strong relationships, which many of us may not have with
Yeah.
family, coworkers, and all that stuff. But again, that word stress. It's less stressful when you have more positive relationships than negative relationships.
And there might be some people who are asking the question, well, how do you know if you have a good rapport with your coworkers? David gave you a perfect example. He came back Monday morning, his office is decorated. If you are a person in a position who most people, I'll take my workplace for example. There are certain people when anniversaries come around, birthdays come around, everybody pitches in to give them a birthday card. Everybody signs. If you're in a position of stewardship, supervisor, manager, and your coworkers aren't doing that for you, and you're wondering why. Not if you don't. If you don't, it don't matter. And you wonder why do certain people get certain treatment and certain people get other treatment. Ask yourself, what do I do differently, or what does the other person do differently than me? And when you get to the bottom of that answer, listen to the answer objectively. Don't try and fight it because that truth is more than likely going to be the objective reason why you receive different treatment. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just indicative of the way people feel about you. And if people don't like you, people don't feel you worthy of the energy, guess what? Excuse me, you're never going to get anything. You're never going to get the treatment that this person does because they don't care for you the same way they do the other person. I've seen it happen. I see it happening. So when my birthday rolls around and I don't get anything, not even the recognition, I understand why. Because I don't talk about my birthday with anybody. The only person I talk about my birthday with is my coworker. I don't expect anything from him because he doesn't expect anything from me on his birthday. Does that mean we don't like each other? Quite the opposite. Does that mean we don't get along? We get along very well. We just understand that when we come to work, it's work. We talk about our families. Yeah. We talk about his homeland. We talk about, I talk about the United States because he's not from here. He's from Mauritius. We talk about all those things all the time. But we understand, our relationship is a working relationship. Now, he's offered and invited me to come to his home, which I probably will take him up on it when I get about 6 grand saved because airfare is going to cost about 2 grand round trip. And when I can get to take the time off work because I'm truly, truly interested in where he's from. But I'm not going to have that rapport with everybody. A man speaks multiple languages. I'm floored. I'm fascinated by that at the same time. I'm not going to have that rapport with everybody. He came to me to help him pass the citizenship exam. I'm not going to have that rapport with everybody. Matter of fact, that's led to me potentially a business opportunity. We don't know where our next ideal is going to come from. We don't know what's going to lead us to an opportunity. And some of us, before those things can avail themselves to us, we're closing the door. Why? Because of our wretched attitudes. Because every time we having a bad morning, we bring that mess to us with us to work. And vice versa. When we had a bad day at work, we bring it home. The wife's got to hear about it. The kids got to hear about it. It's to the point now where they say, Mom, I don't like to be around Dad when he come home from work. Why? Because he always grumpy. Your wife pull you aside and say, Hon, before you come home, stop at the bar, have a drink or two. Get some get some happy fluid. Loosen up. Sit in the driveway and get a shot of your favorite drink or go hang out with the boys. I'll have dinner waiting for you. Just you need everybody needs something from time to time, especially if you don't have it. Just to shift latitude a degree or two. Nothing major. Nothing that's gonna hurt you. But sometimes you have to look inside of who you think you might be to find out who you are. So you might ask, well, I'm an okay guy, or I'm a cool woman. What do your connections say about you? In other words, I don't want to use this example because I don't necessarily add my coworkers who I'm cool with on social media. But if you were to go to work events, how many of those people whom you work with do you communicate with? Me, it's not very many because I only work with one other person consistently. He's not on social media, so I don't care. Now, there are some people who I have other social media accounts over this one because I work with them and we cool, or excuse me, because I have worked with them in other places and we were cool. So, hey, your level of cool might be the fool cool. In other words, you cool when you around, or people cool when you around. When you're not, they JBTing about you. I'm just saying. It may be good, it may be bad, it may be different, indifferent, but they JBT, and you are the topic of conversation.
Yeah, and I and I always over the years I've worked with a lot of people. I worked with a lot of outstanding, talented people. I worked with a lot of people that I still use things that they say, and I'm sure some that use quotes or things that I say. And I've had some good supervisors and good bosses over the years. And sometimes uh, you do a bad job of keeping in contact. And it even started before that. Even I had good, I was like fortunate and lucky that even like deans at now university, like no one does that. But I guess as a student, I made the impression that one of my shout out to Dr. McGlynn. She was one who, if I needed a recommendation letter, she like come pick it up at my house. And I was fortunate to be able to do that. And she lived in a beautiful home on Grand Island, right by the water. And she was like, right here, this computer right here will always have a recommendation letter for you. Now, granted, that was a long time ago. I probably should have followed back up the like some of those people. I probably need to do like try to look into it and see if they're still living because they made a tremendous impact on my life and my projection to my career. So I think that's something that I want to do to just see, see if they're still all right and still reach out to them and, just let them know what's going on in my world. Luckily, like some of them, I know one of my teachers from my master's degree, he, oftentimes he responds to some of my stuff on LinkedIn. And I know as the controversial counselor, I might throw out some stuff that's like, whew, but he he kind of likes the stuff, and then I say, I know this ain't the traditional thing that you taught me, and he say, one of the things he said, keep doing what you're doing, David. Everybody learns different, and that's that's important to me because he's one of the ones who taught me some of the theories in counseling, but he also showed me that you can have flexibility with this, that you have to get across people the best way that you can do it, and sometimes it has to be non-traditional. So that's one of the things also. So relationships are vital, good, bad, or indifferent. If you're someone that's hurting in a relationship or you feel like you want to sever or have a stronger relationship with someone, then you have to try to make things right. Because again, we on borrowed time. And with that borrowed time, you have to try to fix things. Or they don't end up being fixed. And next thing you know, a lot of times people have regrets when people
Mhm.
end up not living. And I understand that wholeheartedly because at one point, when I found out that my father had got sick, I wanted to reach out and say, hey, I know that a lot went on, but I'm an older man now. Hey, let's talk. But when I didn't get a hold of him that particular time, during that particular moment, when I wanted to do so, I kind of fell back. And I think, I don't know, that might have been like on Father's Day or around his birthday. And then 3 or 4 months later, he ended up passing away. So it's uh, it's important to try to mend those broken relationships. And just something to keep in mind because as much as we think tomorrow is promised, we know that it's not for many of us. So all of this stuff run parallel to each other in the support, and you got to have a nice balance with each one. Because if one of them is up here, you have tremendous relationships, but your self care or your health ain't where it's supposed to be, things are going to falter. And even when we look at personal growth, time management, and financial progress and mindset and attitude, this stuff is kind of heavy. It ain't nothing that you could just flow through and because each of these is a show in itself.
Yeah.
So we're trying to
Mhm.
cover it, but I don't want to put too much on everyone, but because it's 32. I don't know how much left you have and you heard, but we're on relationships, and then it's four more after that. We can have a part three. I'm okay with that too.
Okay, yeah. Because what I was going, because I'm getting ready. Matter of fact, I'm off the next couple of days, and I'll probably do this starting tomorrow. Every year, I like to write down um my most pressing needs. From finances to what I need to do with this home in terms of getting it up to my excuse me my standard. Um, a couple things have been added to that now. Personal health, um, post 55 living goals, and what that for me that means businesses. I'm looking into now investing in businesses because I understand, and that's not to say everybody else that doesn't watch this or other people who aren't in the know are knowing that the economy that we grew up in, working a job, always expecting to be able to draw a paycheck, that may no longer be the case. We might be living in a time to where only 30% of the people will be quote unquote employed. The other 50% could be small time entrepreneurs, whether that means you're developing something or you're doing Uber or DoorDash or Instacart, because that's going to become the way of the world now. I was just talking to somebody about cat food. Now, for those of you who for those of you who know me, I don't have a car, and I don't necessarily want to go to the supermarket spending on small purchases when I can get something bigger for cheaper. She said, so why don't you just use Instacart? I said, what, I thought about it, but every time the opportunity presented itself, I didn't need it. So that who was it? FedEx just laid off between 30 and 40,000 people. So when you start looking at all these things across the global landscape, it's not only is becoming competitive, it's becoming imperative that we start to diversify our abilities to earn money. It's not good, it's not bad. I mean, you might know somebody that might need something. I might know somebody that needs something. I can say, hey, look, I need my garage roof replaced. Oh, I know a person who does that kind of stuff. Yeah, but the estimates I get are like $4,000 to $5,000. I can't afford that. Well, you call this person. You call this person. Hey, I need a roof replaced. Do you know what the dimensions are? Dimensions? No. Where do you live at? I'll come give you an estimate for free. They drive by. You give them an estimate of 2,500. They say, hey, look, for 2,500, not only can I replace the roof, I haul away the garbage. They say, really? Pull out the contract, sign it, pop, pop, pop. You go get the materials, $1,000. Do the workmanship, $300 worth of labor. You turn a $200 profit over for a job that was probably a weekend job. You say, hey, wait a minute. You mean I could turn this into a business? Yes, you can. Because there are certain things that are not going to be automated. Snow plowing, and I believe I may have said this before, roofing, that kind of contractual job, you're not going to see robots doing that stuff because that stuff is meant for human touch. You're not going to be doing plumbing, HVAC, they might do it, painting. My wanted team, shout out to I can't remember my man's name right now. He talked about wall mounting flat screen TVs. People, I want y'all to understand something, especially you men. Women are about to come crashing back to the middle. And what I mean about that is DEI programs, they're about to get wiped off the face of the planet, at least in the United States.
Well, hold on, before you, and that was one of the things that I didn't know, but was talking to Dr. Anwar and
Yeah,
Officer
oh yeah.
Charles, that they said over 300,000 women in the United States are losing their jobs
Mhm.
because being replaced by AI and different things like that. Like some professions, like you said, you can't replace that with artificial intelligence. But sometimes a lot of the jobs that women have could be replaced. So they were like, it's going to be in a situation. One of the things that they had said that one of the situations is that some women may be looking like or thinking like, oh, this independence talk, I probably should have secured this a man a
We
long
go,
time
hey,
ago.
we go get to that. We
So
go get,
that's
don't
not
get too
that's
much away now.
yeah, that was new because I didn't realize they had laws. I was caught up in my own world, but I was like, wow,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
it's hey. Everybody talked about the Black Manosphere. What does the Black Manosphere do? Shout out to you, Obsidian. Shout out to you, Theo Wab. Shout out to you, BGS. Y'all boys have been talking about this stuff for the last decade, and I was at the doorstep. Shout out to the late great Kevin Samuels. He said winter was coming. If you don't look out your door right now, and you don't see them storm clouds, I don't know what to tell you. But winter's here, and it's knocking on a lot of people's doorsteps. And if you're not prepared in some way, shape, or form, if you don't have the means to become an expat, start setting yourself up. Read the tea leaves. Make your connections. If you need to go to school to get further degree certification, please do that. But do it only in the jobs where IT can't touch you. IT is going to be able to do some programming, but not all programming. IT might be able to do some building, but it can't do all building. You're not going to find IT robots doing skyscrapers. You're not going to find IT robots doing masonry work, hanging drywall, doing landscaping, all that stuff
So it
are
seemed like
cash on hand jobs.
this was a plan anyway, like to enhance the IT
Mhm.
whole thing to eliminate eliminate jobs all along.
Yeah,
So
well, it's always yeah. I mean, let's look at it like this. Let's start with the Iron Age on up. You go from the Iron Age to the Industrial Age to I'm sorry, I skipped one. Go from the Iron Age to the Steel Age to the Industrial Revolution to I'm missing one, Gilded Age, but all of the every step that humanity has took in terms of evolution has always displaced a certain percentage of humanity. Also, a certain percentage of humanity has been able to step up and fill the void needed to make sure that that current age can continue. Same thing. Another profession that's never going to be replaced: airplane pilots. Why? Because a robot can't land a plane with a crosswind of 15 knots and make adjustments like that. That's a human touch. Surgeons, human touch. Now they might be able to do something with nurses, but surgeons, no. It might get to a point where you marry your wife and y'all have an understanding that you guys are married on paper as a business. You don't plan to have no kids. You don't even plan to live together. Shout out to Sharia. Sharia used to talk about being married but living apart. We didn't think it was going to happen. It's on the doorstep. All these new ways of living, new ways of thinking, you may not like them, but you would be foolish not to look at them and think about the possibility of living that way. You might have The Odd Couple was a TV show that debuted 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Two men living in an apartment. Now, you might have a friend that you cool like that. He goes 6 months out of the year. You come back home. You live there. You decorate the apartment how you want to. You there for 5 months. 1 month the place is empty. He come back home the 6 months he lived. Y'all rotate like that for years. You got a spot. Y'all sharing the taxes, utilities, and everything else. While y'all living abroad traveling, it's the perfect life. Y'all both own properties, own an apartment building. Y'all go in on whatever it is. You got relative living there. You got friends living there. They're not paying a full rate mortgage, so they can go out and invest. All of a sudden now, you guys have started a conglomerate. You buying up land. You buying up property. Next thing you know, you guys have a multi-million-dollar business. Everybody's invested somehow, whether it's 1% to 10% or 20%. Everybody's invested. Your Christmas party is the dividend party where y'all sit down and talk about the next step in the business. Y'all passing out dividend checks. The family grows. So every time there's a birthday that's in the pot, a couple $1,000, this person goes up. And I'm sorry, a couple $1,000 in the pot for the kid. So when the kid turned 18, guess what? The kid got $300,000 to invest. Y'all not talking about buying new cars. Y'all talking about new acquisitions of property. Well, this person saying, look, there's this guy with a startup, got a brilliant idea. He's looking for $50,000. In turn, he's giving 3% equity. Wait a minute. What are the businesses you running? I don't know. We go over and we can meet him. Hey, look, man, my uncle says he might be interested in investing in your business. Well, what might he want to contribute? He's looking to buy the business from you. From me? As you were what the evaluation is. And I'm getting into a little bit of Shark Tank language for those of you who you think I'm going off the deep end. Well, I'm evaluating the business at $1 million. He said he might be able to do that. Next thing you know, you broker in a business deal between one of your friends and a relative. Hammer out some numbers. I said, all right, we can do this. He said, well, what's left of me? He said, hey, you might want to buy into what we're doing. He sit there and look at it. He say, all right, you know what? let me take half of that million and I'll buy into what you guys are doing for half a million. The company grows, grows, grows. These are new ways that we have to start thinking. When I say we, I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about the class of people who are considered part of the elite, the 1%. Because this is no longer going to be about ethnicity, this world. It's going to be about class. He who has the money and the gold, they make the rules. That's all I'm telling you. Start changing the way you think. You'll see a whole lot of things open up to you. You see your circle expand. You see the people that you no longer thought you could meet. You know on a first name basis. Gotta do it. Gotta do it.
It's definitely important. Changing your circle of influence and people that you be around. To get along game, sometimes that ain't where it's at. You only can deal with them in doses. So other than that, when you locked in, sometimes you have to separate yourself from all that. That don't mean you evil or you're acting better than that particular thing, but you just got goals. And you got a short amount of time to do it, especially as you get older. When you're younger, you go through shit and you kind of flip flop in different things, but start in your 40s and 50s and all that, you really got time for foolishness. If everything, if that's all somebody has to offer you is foolishness all the time, not only you don't want that on no Friday foolishness, you don't want that no days.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so you don't want it no days because your tolerance and your what you accept it gets lower and lower as you get older. Like you look at people like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of shit right now because you realize time goes by fast as hell when you get older. Whatever thought shit we this year almost over, halfway over, that fast. Seemed like we was just talking in January about here we are in 2025. Like before our eyes, it's June. And then
And
the
shout
rest
out
of
to
it,
Victor too. Victor called me on his platform, and we chopped it up about the red pill. And this is what I'm talking about. There's a lot of negative connotation because people don't know. So we sit down, we chopped it up, and there were some things that when I spoke about, he was like, "Now it makes sense. Now I understand why." Because let me tell him the time. He asked, he said, "Why would men want to gravitate to the red pill?" I said, "A lot of men, because of the way we're reared, when they have a heartbreak or they go through a bad relationship, they're jaded and they're looking for a space and a place to heal. And one of the places that they stumble across is the manosphere, whether it be the white manosphere or the black manosphere." And then we talked about, why do men remain there? Some men want to remain there, honestly enough, because it's profitable. Those aren't the men you want to be around. You have some men that treat it like a hospital. They come in, they get what they need, they get well, and they move on. Those are the men you want to be around. This is why I say I no longer talk about the gender war, because I realize the gender war is over. It's about survival in class now. So the manosphere, if depending on who you listen to, which is why I always ask people, when a person makes disparaging and derogatory comments about the manosphere and red pill content, who are you listening to? And they never have an answer. They never say any names of any content creators. They never mention anything that a content creator says. And I guarantee you, if a person is a red pill content creator and they've been covering red pill content for more than 3 or 4 years, there's three things that I know for certain. One, they're known. Two, they have catch phrases And three, they talk about the same things consistent. I can say for certain that when I use the term Mr. Goodbar, I'm talking about Ron Wells. If I say she's dragging a wagon, I can attribute that to Coach Greg Adams. If I can say value your light and attention, I can say that about BGS. Also, Greg Adams has one that says meat, agility, time, and attention. If I mention the rational male, I'm talking about Rollo Tomasi. All these gentlemen have a niche in the manosphere, whether it's black, white. All of them talk about things in a certain way. So people, don't be misled by people who speak negatively of the red pill. Ask them, who are they following and what do they talk about? Because a lot of some matter of fact, Rollo Tomasi's married. Most of y'all probably didn't know that because you don't follow him like that. You follow what he says, and that's not wrong. BGS has children, but we're here to teach. The same thing that David and I do. We're here to teach. Do we know everything? No. And we often say we are not subject matter experts. The only thing we are subject matter experts about is ourselves. We're here to teach. We're here to give you information in hopes that you grow. Because if you grow as an audience, we grow as content creators. So what we bring you can grow. It gets more specific. It gets more targeted. It helps you get out of certain situations that you might be in. It might help you help somebody else. You can say, hey, you know what? I don't know about this. And people, I'm sure people have asked Dave, they said, because I get people that ask me from time to time, why don't y'all talk? Why don't y'all talk about this? Shout out to Greg. Greg's one of the few Caucasian males, older males, who's here consistently. And he wants to understand the way that we do, the way that black men do about black women and black culture. And I credit that man for that. Because not a lot of white people care enough. They just don't. They say, you know what? Fuck them. They got their freedom. They can make decisions just like we do. They can go to school and get educated just like we do. They can take out loans, buy homes, cars. They don't. They squander their money. They rather have babies out of wedlock. They rather do all of this. And some black people will say, that's not all of us. You know what? You're right. You are absolutely right. But that's the image that is portrayed in front of them about us. So my question is, what are you going to do about it?
Well, okay. Like I said, this all is a process, and like I said, none of these core areas was meant to. And it doesn't surprise me that with last week we only got through two. Then again tonight we got through two because all of this stuff is important. You may not think it's important. Some of you just nearly do get up and don't never think about like, damn, okay, what's my next move? What am I doing? All you thinking about is the next party, the next event that's coming up. And really, sooner or later, shit, when stuff start declining and you're not feeling your best, and the same people you used to party with, and they say, "Hey, you feel like going out?" and you're like, "Nah, I'm not feeling too good," or "My back hurt, my neck, my knees, and all that shit been bothering me." Then you'll see. So you got to think about the bigger picture. And me, I'm in that process. Granted, I didn't put in my time in education, but I still be thinking about, okay, next move. It certainly ain't to freaking sit around and get a pension check and have a set income. It's like, nah, I'm still trying to make money because I'm still healthy and I'm still gonna go out there and get it, and I'm gonna have trying to have something coming in and then stacking the other one. My check from retirement from school could just be in the savings. Like I don't even touch that shit. I don't
Right.
even touch it. But I'm making good money doing this or doing that. That's the game plan. The
Yeah.
hell want to live on bare minimum
Yeah.
and let them dictate how you live your life.
Yeah.
Because most people, they retire and they sit around and I'm on a fixed income. I'm on this and that. Hey, fixed income. Yeah, I'm on a fixed income. I'm fixing it. I'm doing all the preparing for it. I'm fixing it, and it's gonna be this. It's gonna be that. I'm not about to let that happen. No way. I'm be sitting around waiting on a check to come through and all that stuff when I can go out and have means to make other money and don't even. And I remember that from one of my great bosses. Shout out to Dr. Francine Palermo. She retired from a, might have been North Carolina, some school district, and she came to Brian and Stratton, and she said, "Mr. David," she was like, "I don't even realize when we get paid here. I don't realize we get paid here. Maybe I pay the bills with her other check, and then this money goes straight into my account." So you just imagine if you're someone in your 50s and you got 5, 6 thousand a month going into your savings because you created another opportunity to make money, which may have been less stressful than your other job. And you like, man, you save you
Okay,
saving
man.
5, 6 thousand a month. Uh, that's good. That's good eating. That's good eating. And then you still working another. You're still working, but you're doing it on your terms.
Yeah. I
You're
mean,
doing it on your
man,
terms.
I sit here and I think about because what people let me put this little tidbit out there. Start coming. What people don't realize about David's situation is guess what he's still qualified to do? He's still qualified to be a consultant. So a school district might be looking for somebody to implement plans, put his business card out there, say, hey, look, I'll come in and take a look at your programming and see what you need. I $10,000 consulting fee. For a school district, guess what $10,000 is? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They spend more than $10,000 on a sporting event just for safety. They come in and say, hey, look, I notice, your program doesn't have this. Your student scores are indicating this. You might need an assistant to do this, to do this. All that stuff can be done because he has not only the education, but he has the experience to walk in and see that type of stuff. People that I'm trying to think of another entity. I don't necessarily want to say teachers with special ed teachers. They're the same thing. You are a nurse. You have I don't say a nurse practitioner degree. Um, ah, shoot, what is it? You might be a compliance person. You walk into an elder care facility, and you going in to see somebody. And you say, "Hey, look, this is out of compliance. This is outdated." They come up with new techniques for this, and they can say, "Hey, look, you say, hey, look, you can be deemed for each one of these." They can say, "How the hell does this person know this? You used to work in a healthcare facility. That's what you did. You're a regional manager for 6 of them, but you're retired." They say, "Hey, I understand you retired, and I know you don't want to do this full time, but hey, for $2,000, would you come and just look over our facility, see how it's ran, see what we're short on, so we don't get closed down?" You say 2, 3 hours worth of work, maybe 4 or 5 hours worth of work once a month. Absolutely, I'll come in. People don't understand how post retirement certain things lend itself to certain things.
Yeah, it's all about setting yourself up for opportunities because the people I know, and not all, but I know a lot of people that once they retire, because if they're not using your brain, you end up dying
Yeah,
shortly after that. Uh, who the hell wants to work all their, excuse my language, fucking life, and
right.
2 or 3 years later you die?
Yeah,
You die. You're supposed to work and supposed to enjoy it. That's why you have to get out at a certain time, and you don't want to be in that rat race, 64, 65. And, I'm already hearing the little jokes from the students now, but they still know that I'm relevant. What's up, old man? What's up, punk? Or whatever. Mr. Glover, you old, this or that. But they still realize, like one of the young lady who came to my office, she's like, man, she told the other girls, like, Mr. Glover like that. She said, he dripping. Keep it dripping. Like he still got it. Like y'all better respect it. Um, and I want to go out on top. I don't want to go out being called names and shit and disrespected, because what's the point of being there all them years and then as you decline, you're getting disrespected by the younger generation, where the younger one's supposed to still come in and still like, yo, that dude, he's still that guy. You going out disrespect and you're like, oh, I'm so stressed out. I got to get out of here. I got to go. When I say I got to go, it's because I want to venture off and try other things. And it's not because any of the kids can run me out. It's probably more political stuff and adults. Kids going to be kids. And either you can get along with them, you can build rapport with them, or you're just in the wrong profession. So that's my thing. I still greener pastures ahead, but I want to dictate that. We'll talk more about that maybe in part three, because we certainly got to talk about personal growth, time management, financial progress, and mindset attitude. Because that's a lot of it begins with the mindset and attitude. If you're gonna make a shift, or are you gonna keep doing the same thing you're doing? Keep getting the same results. Then we know it's your mindset and attitude. You're crazy. Sandals. Um, so a lot to cover. And the thing about all of this, we it's a lot of spins of a lot of things that's going on in this world that ties in to all of these conversations and what's going on. So you want to bring another unique twist to the conversation, feel free to do so. Like I'm never sweating the numbers and all of that stuff, how people do it, because I know even by posting clips and other things, people watch it. People see it. Sooner or later, one day, one day, Herb gonna be in the walking through the store. They be like, "Yo, you the big bad wolf, dude. That's the big bad wolf." As one of my students say, Mr. Glover, when you gonna scream again? When you screaming with the big bad wolf again? Hey, people may see me in the airport. Oh, you, oh, you look familiar. Oh, you, you the controversial counsel. That would be me. That would be me. But it's gonna be a silent, subtle thing.
Yeah.
And like, damn, they put in the work, and now they known for what they do. But and that's one of the things, you can post it, it's your birthday, and you get all types of happy birthdays. But then when you're doing something that's meaningful, these people know where to be found. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I do understand it. I think it's just to be a part of something. Copycat, like, oh, somebody else said
Yeah.
happy birthday. It came across my timeline, happy birthday. But when somebody's trying to put in and drop some knowledge or some discussions that each and every one of you are going through on some type of level, no fucking parts of it. Hide under fucking covers with your phone saying happy fucking birthday to everybody. It where's they go get you in the long run unless you start planning and caring, because we talk about everything: food, kid, education, day to day, relationships, health, mental health, all types of stuff, family. So each and every one, ain't nobody in this world, no matter what race, ethnic group, or whatever, can say you don't go through any of this in your own way, and culture wise it may be somewhat different, but you all go through all of these core areas that we always talk about. But Herb, any closing comments we gonna get out? We'll see y'all again next week. Gonna keep beating y'all
No,
head
we'll
on
no.
shit.
We'll pick up where we leave it off. We'll see you again next week.
All right, good people. We out. On to the next one. Everybody have a good week. Be safe, be well, and always pay attention to your surroundings.
Absolutely.
Another thing is, it's about to be wild. This summer about to be wild. Be protected. These little kids, they're trying to
Yeah.
take over the fucking world.
Yeah.
These communities better be mindful of these little crumb snatchers because they out in packs and I don't know what the problem is,
Yeah.
but I can
And
tell you
and
this.
they might makes right.
Say
That's the
that
reason
again.
why they're traveling in packs.
Say that again.
And I said the reason why they're traveling in packs is because they think might makes right. In other words, if it's 4 or 5 of them and it's only one of you, they think you're going to relent, failing to realize that it ain't the small that run things, it's the big that run things. And if you, I don't care if it's 6, 7 of you little bad motherfuckers. You run up on the wrong one, there's gonna be 6 or 7 you bad little motherfuckers in the ER.
I just know. I just know it's coming. I can see it. And they're taking advantage of. They're taking advantage of even with the COVID, with the mask and all that
Yep.
stuff. You see them with the ski mask on, and it's freaking 85 degrees, and they got a mask on. So you ain't paying attention.
God you good, knuckle up.
Yeah, yeah, they coming for you. They coming and they gonna be out, and then if their parents don't have no control, they just gonna be in packs and all that. And it ain't like you can really say if you say something to them like that shit, then you gonna be targeted. Then they gonna be like, oh, we about to get this house, or we about to get this car, or whatever the case is. That don't mean you should live in fear, but I'm just saying, be prepared. Pay attention to your surroundings and know who. Pay attention what's going on because they
Like the
coming.
song, like the song said, it's a quiet storm outside. Nobody's safe from.
So it's about the summer weather about to bring out kids with no curfews, nowhere to go, and just looking to create havoc. And we already know how the stealing car thing go down, freaking vandalize it, doing shit to people's yards and stuff like that. Hey, I'm not trying to act like I was no saint. We used to do our shit too with idle
Not with this
time.
one. These kids, they
Yeah,
they let loose for next
more
level.
violent. Yeah, they're more violent and stuff. A lot of
Yeah,
times we did stuff, but we also were part of playing sports and football and had practice and all of that stuff. Once
yeah,
all that stuff kicked in, that kind of consumed our time. But some of these kids, they do
yeah.
but put on their ski mask and
What was
walk around.
what was the Justice League? It was the Justice League and the Legion of Doom. Yeah, these kids are more like the Legion of Doom.
I just want y'all to know to be aware of that. The summer is about to hit, and then of course the economy and all that stuff creates more issues because now parents may not be able to purchase things that they were able to purchase before. So kids, they don't want to fall behind when they say no child left behind. They don't want to be left behind in fashion or with other things. They got to get it some way. They might have to try to get it from somebody else. So, because I just seen something also, then we're gonna get out of here. Somebody, maybe Black, I had posted something about snatching purses in Niagara Falls, like they doing that again.
Oh,
Like that shit coming back out, snatching purses. I remember when we were younger, that was the thing, snatching purses. So I haven't seen anything myself, but I know Black always on top of it. So is that what they doing in Niagara Falls again? Snatching purses. Like, shit always come around twofold. So be careful when y'all had them big ass Dooney Burke bags and Louis Vuitton and all that shit. Some kid might say, I'm about to get this purse and what's in it, and then I'm gonna give it to my mom's. It's crazy out here. So that's what
and it
we're
won't be the knockoff version either.
gonna
It won't be the ones that the Chinese are trying to skip the tariff on.
do.
Yo,
we
it's
got a
getting
lot.
wild, man.
We got a lot to
I
talk
think about
about.
that till you said, yeah, man. It's yeah.
So
I
Everybody
am.
just be well. And like I
Yeah.
said, pay attention to your surroundings. We out.
Yeah.
On
I
to the
am. Yeah.
next one.
Take care.
Peace.